Good morning, 12 signs. Just a follow-up here to how I met my soulmate, to how I met my twin flame, and answering a couple of questions. Well, one major question from Gail with a Y. But first of all, me being the Queen of Clovers, what a card, huh? My readings tend to focus on life, craft, action, nurturing ourselves and others, and exercising our will for the highest good and calling. Fire it up. All right. So, I am the Queen of Clovers. My name is Rachel. I do tarot readings and I do energy and card readings here, weekly readings. And I did a live yesterday for the full moon. I'm sorry, the new black moon. And next time I do a live, I'm going to announce it. I didn't want to announce it when I first did it, just because I wanted to see what I had. And if it was sucked really bad, I could always delete it and only have an hour of that up. But it was a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it didn't hurt me very much. So dailies might be in the future. I'm definitely going to make special days special because that's something I do. I'm also going to begin doing readings from the Decameron deck, intimate special readings, probably for when Venus moves. But yeah, I've been inspired to work with the energies between. Pretty much intimacy between male and females, or sexual intimacy between persons throughout the community, and just like redefining marriage, redefining how we relate to each other, person to person. The tarot cards do well, but the regular tarot cards do well, but I think we need to like detail. I think there's not enough detail in the cards yet for me, so I'm going to be working on that. All right. Definitely check out those 12 sign readings. I did a reading for each sign for the new moon, and it's under that one video. So you just go in there, click on your timestamp, and it'll take you to your sign. Timestamp is in the comments below on that reading. All right, so why wasn't I afraid to tell everyone I basically had an affair? Because everyone knows. I'm going to tell you that most people are pretty courteous about not talking to me about it, but it took about 6 months for everybody to not expect my head to explode every time I entered the room, or maybe, I don't know, flash everybody, or I don't know. It just seemed like people were expecting things, and with good right. But the reason everybody knows is because my ex told everybody. He told my children. He told people that he knew that would hate me for the rest of my life if they knew. Yeah, he did tell those people. Nobody that in particular that I need in my life, but he told everyone. I work in construction. He works in construction. It's a very fraternal industry. Everybody knows everybody. Yeah, so he told people there. So everybody at work, I know they know because I've heard gossip about it. I've actually picked up the information on it intuitively. So I know it's going on. I've had physical backup too, not just things in my head, never mind, but basically it's not really news. And if you really shouldn't approach me about it. It's very rude. It's something that happened between me and my ex. I didn't even really feel it happened between me and my ex because at the time, yeah, we were done. In my brain, in my heart. And he had confused me so fucking much that I really thought I had a handle on stuff, but I didn't. And this is why you can't lie to people, or you can't coerce and manipulate people, because they will use that information to make decisions. Now, a good person, which is the point of manipulation and coercion, is that people will take that information you gave them and go make a life decision. They may make a major life decision. The problem with that is it probably conflicts with spirit messages. It probably conflicts with their moral values. It probably conflicts with what the right thing to do is. And it even conflicts with what the right thing is to do for you. So they may take that information and they may actually hurt you more than if you had just been honest and truthful. And I used to be a bit of a childhood liar, a little storyteller, come to find I knew a lot of the things I was saying were true. And I could even find them in the paper, or after I had said them, I could find the stories or around me that were true, that I had told as stories. And so I knew that something was going on, but I didn't understand it. I was 9 when I was like, okay, I need to back off of this. But I didn't exactly understand what it was, and I really didn't care at the time because, you know, I was a kid, and I was a pretty happy kid otherwise. But you just cannot be dishonest because, like I said, people are going to take that information. They're going to, all these messages they're getting from spirit, and they're like mentors, and people to have them just do the biggest, greatest good to be the highest light. They're going to take that information from you and they're going to add it to that. And doubt and such is heavy and dark and weighty, and it looks like something we need to pay attention to because it looks like something that might be a bump in the road, something we need to address. So that's why we tend towards those areas, because it's something that needs to be handled, and oftentimes we get stuck in how to do that. So basically, you're taking that person away from their highest good, and you're taking them away from, like I said, even being able to do the highest good for you. Because definitely I took that information that my ex was the most important person in the world, and I was not even the second most important person in the world to him. I took that information and moved on with it. And granted, I made those decisions. I made those calls, but there was a lot of information and a lot of confusion that my ex had set into the situation to make me feel like I had to stay, or I had a responsibility to stay. I definitely felt trapped. I felt like I wasn't an Aries. I was definitely designed to be a wife, and in that relationship, and like a stay-at-home mom even, only I had to go to work because there was so much financial chaos as well. But, and I had to work in a way that was comfortable for my ex, which was definitely in the construction industry that he worked in, which also put him in a way to keep tabs on me, which, he did. So yes, going to work is very interesting when you think that your ex has a spy there for you, and I do think that he does receive information somehow, but it's not important. The important thing is that you do not take for granted the way you speak to people, the way you advise people, the information you give people. It matters, because they're going to take that information, they're going to take it to heart, especially if they're somebody like really close to you that really cares about you. And like I said, they're going to make decisions based on that information, and they're going to think they're going to move towards the highest good. If they think they're dying like I was, because I really believed that I was going to die, they're going to call in their twin flame so they don't have to go through reincarnation and come back to this horrid place. And when they find out it's not you and you've been unkind, they're going to go the other way towards that twin flame so that they don't have to come back here, because I thought I was dying, okay? I was told repeatedly I was dying. I was bleeding to death. I was told repeatedly that I needed to, this was sincerely an issue, and I did feel like it. I knew I was weakening and weakening every day. It's quite dramatic. Obviously, a spiritual transition went on too, because you can't go through something like that and not have your soul change. But you know, when you find out you're not actually going to die, you can make better decisions as well. I definitely made some desperate decisions to like make it through and jump ahead and make sure that, you know, I didn't leave things in a mess, and that I was strong enough crossing into the afterlife. I'm serious. This is where I was. I didn't want to come back, so I needed to make sure I was strong enough crossing into the afterlife that I could at least come back and make sure I could keep an eye on my kids. I wasn't even worried about going to heaven. I kind of was, but I was kind of at a point where I knew I blew it, and I knew that basically the way I was living, I shouldn't have been living. And even if it was in a family way, and we did at some time have a very loving family and a very wonderful unit, and we did work together quite well for a time, it was wrong. It had become wrong, and I didn't know all the details at the time. I didn't understand covert narcissism. I didn't understand like manipulation, confusion, you know, what do they call that? Whatever the words are. it's a language that I didn't have and I didn't understand, and there's not exactly a lot of, you know, literature on it that, I don't know, it just seems like it's the new deal, and a lot of it has to do with individualization, and why the twin flame system is kind of going to burn out, because we're all going to come together, we're all going to pull in the energies of male and female on our own, and we're actually going to advance as a species from our beginnings as children as separate genders. This doesn't mean we will lose our gender identities from masculine to feminine. We'll always be binary for the sake of the species. Pretty much. There's nothing you can do about the 3D sometimes. There sure are things, but this is the system that is going to be in place. However, roles and goals kind of thing will be completely different and blended, and we will be able to use both of our energies all the time and still actually succeed quite well. A lot of politicians, good politicians, have said, I believe Winston Churchill was one of the greatest, that said that basically the greatest drain, no, I think it was FDR, it was an American, basically said, hey, you know, the greatest loss in this country is the a female workforce. And that's because, you know, you lose their brains, you lose their fingers, you lose their talent, because they're all at home raising kids, which is important. But then you bring in some guys who you're like, dude, you would totally be Mr. Mom and do better and if your wife was here. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we're coming into that world of everybody can do everything but have babies. So we will always have, I think we'll always have an anchor, other than other people who are enlightened and androgynous beyond. But these are special cases, and these are lights and examples of that gender fluidity that we're working with. And just because some people are gender fluid, it's not going to change us. What it's going to change is our ideas about masculine and feminine. This is the way they're receiving the information, so that we are having conversations on a world scale. Think about that for 2 seconds. Yes, a lot is changing with genders, so I'm going to do those Decameron readings and work on the intimacy between the genders. I think it's going to be a really good reading, and I think a lot of my readings in the future are going to focus on a lot that I've been through personally, through illness, through parenting. I have a 21-year-old child. It's been fun. We still need to go to the bar for his birthday in June, but we have drank together. But anyway, so what else do I have? You know, I've worked full time. I've gone to college. I went to college after I had my first child. I didn't go to college straight out of high school. I've worked in a company that was raided by the FBI. While I was pregnant with my first. I was 20 years old. What else happened? I gave a lot of money back, so I didn't have to testify. I told them where things were, so I didn't have to testify. Yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah, I've just been through a lot, and but a lot of it's just life. A lot of it's just life. Just because there are fancy frills, and like, ooh, I was sitting there as the receptionist, as a 20-year-old receptionist, and they pulled a gun to my head, and it was the frickin' FBI. Yeah, they did. They do. They draw their weapons. It's not uncommon for weapons to be involved in this kind of thing. It was during the 90s. It was 98. It was, yeah. It's a good story. I will have to tell it because I've been through shit, man, like I said. Anyways, definitely keep watching. I hope I didn't ramble on too much, but I did want to just kind of like put myself out there and let you guys know where I'm coming from, and that I'm doubling down, committing down to my channel, because that's another message I did receive last night that was really good. So things are going well, and bonus readings later. And thanks, everyone.